Are we finally at the point where the iPhone 17 Pro and iPhone 17 Pro Max can actually compete with a high-end professional mirrorless camera and lens? Hey guys, my name's Dan Ballard, longtime pro travel, landscape, and commercial photographer. So I'll give you a hint. No. If we're just comparing side by side, can this hold up against a professional mirrorless camera? Of course it can't. We know that. I think most people know that, despite some of the articles I've seen, despite Apple's advertising, calling this thing the Pro, so on and so forth. Yeah, no, of course. I think, as most people realize, we're definitely not at the point where this is competing directly. The question to me, though, is can we start using this alongside our pro gear? As a pro photographer, as a serious photographer, as somebody that has a professional grade camera, can we start using this now alongside our other gear as another really solid tool in our bag? Let's find out. Okay, so I just went to Moab. I spent 4 or 5 days there, did a lot of shooting, and I really tried hard to compare the iPhone 17 Pro Max with my Sony A7R5 and my Sony A1ii. Now these are both very high-end cameras. I've got professional lenses with them. We're talking somewhere around $20,000 worth of gear here that I'm comparing this to. I also use the mirrorless cameras a lot with a tripod. And I didn't use the tripod with these cameras for the main reason that I just would never really use this with a tripod in the real world, and I wanted to do this very real world kind of test. No, it's not the most scientific, can't really compare back and forth with one camera on a tripod, low ISO, and the other not. But again, I just wouldn't use this on a tripod. The whole point of this to me is to have a small, lightweight travel kit, something that I can take mountain biking or that I can throw, in my pocket whenever I'm going out on a kayak, expedition or something like that when I'm traveling. I'm just not going to take a tripod in those circumstances. If I have room for a tripod, I'd probably be taking the bigger cameras anyways. So this is going to be just kind of a real, actual comparison, like I would actually use this in the real world, how I want to use it if I'm taking it traveling or on a trip or whatever that might happen to be. So before I go any further, I will say it's definitely very, very good. Now, is it good enough to use in a way that I'm not just dying that I don't have my real camera? That's what I wanted to find out. It's excellent. For a lot of you guys, for people that aren't necessarily serious photographers, if you just want to know, is this a good camera? Can you take really good pictures with this thing? Yes, you absolutely can. I'll save you the wondering there. You can definitely do that. But is it good enough for someone like me who's wanting to take really excellent quality photos? Am I going to be dying if I leave the real camera behind and just take this? Historically, that was the case. Okay, maybe with the 17 Pro and 17 Pro Max, maybe we've finally gotten past that point. Maybe now I can actually take this and use it and not feel like I'm regretting leaving the other camera behind. I can potentially use this as a tool. So while in Moab, I really tried hard to just figure that out. Is this good enough now? Can I use it? Can I take it whenever I want this ultra super small lightweight kit? All right, let's go to the computer, look at some shots, and maybe find out. Okay, so this is one of the first shots that I took. This is taken using the iPhone 17 Pro Max. You can see right up here in the corner that this is the camera that I was using. And if we zoom in here, this is just the DNG. Sorry, nope, this is the JPEG, I apologize. This is the JPEG that I've worked on. Right next to it, we have the DNG. So this is the original. And here we have the JPEG again. And you can see this is actually really pretty solid. I mean, I'm really impressed with this. This is zooming into 100% and it looks really solid. The background looks nice. This is with some editing done to it. And versus the RAW, you can see this is the RAW again, and back to the JPEG. And man, I'm really overall pretty impressed with this. Again, as far as this being a usable shot that I could do something with, yeah, I think it's there. Now, let's go over and compare. I don't have the exact same vehicle, but let's go over and compare that shot with the shot taken with the Sony A1ii along with the 28-70 f2 GM. And if we zoom in here, you can see, yeah, there's a pretty substantial difference there. I mean, the iPhone 17 Pro shot looks pretty good, but the shot with the professional mirrorless camera with the A1ii just absolutely hands down looks better. This looks just completely real, basically. And of course, this is, a much higher resolution camera, 50 megapixels, so we're zooming in a lot further as well. So not only is it the situation where it looks better, but it's, we're zoomed in a lot further as well. Now, the other thing to note here, this is the original RAW file with the Sony, and you can see I tried to edit kind of similar here. Like I tried to make this shot look kind of like this shot. They were taken at a slightly different moment in time, but really similar conditions. And I just felt like I couldn't really push this iPhone file very far either. Even though it was a RAW file, even though it had all the details, I tried to do the same types of things. Bringing warmth into the background and all of that. And it looks okay. Again, it's fine. But look at how much more I was able to push this file as far as editing goes. Like I was really able to just bring out the color there and, going from this to this. Again, just a few minutes of editing. This isn't a finished product. It's not quite there. It's not quite right. But it looks so much better, and I was able to just push it so much further. So yes, in this case, I mean, I'm very impressed with the iPhone. I think it looks really good. Again, as a backup camera, as that camera that I'm taking with me, yeah, in this type of situation, I'd be really okay with this. But it's still a far, far, far cry from what the professional, Sony camera is doing, or of course any other professional, professional camera. This was taken with also, a 28-70 f2. That's a $3,000 lens on its own. So we have this just kind of incredibly expensive setup here, and it, of course, again, I don't think any surprise, of course, does a much better job. Okay, let's look at another example here. In this situation, here's our RAW file from the iPhone again, and then this is the process JPEG, and let's zoom in on that. And as you can see, again, it looks really just pretty dang good. You can see that we've got some artifacts and some weird stuff happening with the lights, but that's fairly normal. I see that kind of thing with the normal camera as well, so that's not necessarily just an iPhone thing. That just kind of happens. I'm not sure if it's atmosphere or what it is exactly, but I definitely see that occasionally. As far as overall sharpness goes, as far as how the shot just looks overall, I mean, again, really, I'm pretty impressed. It's really pretty nice. Again, very, very usable. Now, again, let's go to the RAW file. This isn't really with much editing, but if we go back to the RAW file there with the Sony, of course, again, much different. Now, in this case, you are going to see a lot of noise. I did noise reduction on the iPhone shot just to really see how it would look. I didn't do that on this. If I did AI noise reduction here, it would clean up all that noise. It would look great. This was at a really high ISO 6400, just with our low light and everything. Shooting at f8, trying to have the background in focus as well. And I didn't have much time. I was shooting this super quick, so if I would have spent a little more time, I probably would have tried some different things, maybe even used a tripod. But this was just handheld, mostly just for this example, to be honest with you. So we do have some noise there, but you can see much better quality, much sharper. So again, and also just the fact that I can shoot this at 6400 and still have a very usable shot. If I was shooting this on the iPhone and I needed a higher ISO, of course that's where things would start to fall apart as well. So again, really, really good showing with the iPhone. Really impressed, really happy with it. Definitely not comparing to the real camera, but really, really good. Really not bad at all. Let's look at a couple other examples here. So again, this is our JPEG with the iPhone 17 Pro Max. And yeah, I mean, again, looks really good here, right? I mean, again, zooming in, it's not going in far, but we zoom in and it looks really nice. We've got, again, a very usable shot. This was edited, so I've already pulled details here. I did do some AI noise reduction, so you're kind of, we're benefiting from that for sure. But I'm, again, trying to do this kind of as a real world test. And that's what I would do in the real world. I want to know, with some sharpening, with editing, with my AID noise, are these files going to be good? And, again, this looks really great. It looks really nice. I'm super impressed with this. I'll show you guys the raw file just so you can see the difference. So this is, again, the iPhone 17 Pro Max DNG file, and that's without cropping as well. This other one I did some cropping, so that's why it wasn't zooming in quite as much. So I'd cropped in already some. So yeah, again, it looks really good. Now let's look at the Sony, the A1ii shot, and yeah, again, of course, much better. This is also with some noise reduction, with a little bit of sharpening as well. And again, you can't really compare because we're going in so much further in this case. For this shot, we just have a much bigger crop here. But still, even though we've got that bigger crop, I mean, it just looks incredible. We can just go in and it's just really sharp, and it just looks completely real. It looks awesome. So again, much better. We've got way more room to crop. I'll show you guys a raw file here. So that's the raw file. You can zoom in there, and then back to our JPEG where we've done some work. So yes, this is absolutely way better. It looks much more solid. We could do a lot more with this. We can push the file much further, all that stuff. But again, I keep saying, man, I'm really impressed with the iPhone 17 Pro Max. I mean, it's doing a really good job. This is a very usable file for a lot of different things. Once again, super happy. All right, let's look at another example here. This is kind of more of a landscape world. So here we have something shot with, I believe, the medium, it's the 16.9 millimeter lens here. And this is the raw file. And I didn't really do any editing on these. I just wanted to show you guys a few of the raw files. But here's a raw file, and then here's the raw file from the Sony. And this is with the A7R5 actually. And the same type of thing. I mean, this looks really good. As soon as we zoom in, as soon as we start really trying to work on this file, that sort of thing, yeah, we can start to see a really big difference here. Now, this is at ISO 500, so this isn't even really a fair comparison versus the Sony at 100. Let's find, okay, yeah, so this is ISO 125 with the iPhone, so this is going to be a more of a fair comparison. Okay, so much better. That's one big thing here, guys. If we're in a situation where you have to take the ISO up, which is fairly common in low light, of course, that's where the iPhone also falls apart, right? I mean, as soon as you're trying to push that, as soon as you don't have a tripod, you have to increase the ISO, yeah, things aren't working well. If we tried to process this file, this was, again, taken on ISO 500 on the iPhone 17 Pro Max, and it's already kind of falling apart. But if we came in here and we tried to, bring our shadows up, if we try to bring our exposure up, everything's just lost here. There's just nothing left. Whereas if we tried the same thing, again, this is not really fair because I'm shooting with a Sony at ISO 100. But even if this was at, 500 or 600 or 800 or 1600 even, we could still really do a lot of work. We could still come in here with the A7R5 and just get a really high quality image. We can't do that. But again, let's compare this to the iPhone shot. Go back to info, and we'll compare this to the iPhone shot taken at, this one's ISO 100. So we're back to our DNG, ISO 100, perfect. So in this case, yeah, this is looking much better. This isn't bad at all. Again, you can't really compare it. I mean, compared to the Sony file, going in, I mean, it's just so much cleaner and so much crisper. So again, way different, absolutely no comparison, but also still really good. This is another example here with the Pro Max. This is with the 16.9 millimeter lens again, and yeah, not too bad. I mean, these are harsh conditions here. It was kind of hazy, and it's just kind of a challenge for a camera anyways here. Now I'm just going to go to another file here, and look at this. You can definitely see it's softer. It's certainly not looking as good here in the rocks, and it's not great. I certainly wouldn't want to have to do a huge print of this or anything, but really, again, solid, not bad, looks really nice. Let's go in. You can actually compare here. So let's compare this one, and yeah, move that around a little bit. Kind of zoom in on our peak so we can compare. So, I mean, yeah, definitely a pretty serious difference. but also for the difference in money and the fact that I'm using a major telephoto, a very serious telephoto lens for the mirrorless camera shop, the A7R5. Again, this is not bad for so many circumstances, for so many things. The shot with the iPhone is really just pretty usable. So, okay, guys, I feel like really that's kind of my conclusion here. No, they don't compare. Absolutely, the serious professional mirrorless camera is better, but the iPhone 17 Pro and iPhone 17 Pro Max are excellent. They're really good. They are absolutely good enough, even for a pro photographer, to use as a secondary piece of gear, to use as a backup camera, to take with you traveling. Yeah, sure, no, I'm not going to leave my camera behind on a serious photo trip. There's no doubt about it. I'm getting ready to leave on a bike packing trip through Oman for about 5 weeks, coming up here soon. And yeah, I'm not taking just this. I mean, this would be the thing, right? If I really thought that this could compare, this is a situation where I need the lightweight. I want to be super light. So this would be the exact trip where honestly this would be great to take. And I just can't do it. It's just not quite there yet. I'm not fully replacing the camera with this by any stretch. Just wanted to punch in here real quick to add the other thing that I didn't really talk about that I really meant to, that's incredibly important. Another reason that that the iPhone 17 Pro and Pro Max aren't really quite there yet and really aren't at the point of being full-on professional pro cameras is really just the overall usability. Things like having the flip screen. One thing that I noticed a lot in Moab while I was shooting was so many times I'm trying to get really low. I'm always trying to get really low to the ground. And, of course, with the normal, mirrorless, I've got the flip screen. And it's so easy to just have the camera all the way on the ground and to just, have the screen where I can see it, it's flipped up. And I mean, you can just work just with so much fluency and it's just so easy. Nowadays, of course, with most cameras, you can also flip the screen, vertically. So it's just so easy to get low and get down and have this perfect view of your screen. And with the iPhone, man, I was struggling with that so much. I kept trying to get down low and I kept trying to do the same thing, but as you're that low to the ground and you're tipping the camera backwards, you're tipping it up to kind of get the angle right, you just can't really see it all. Like, you just have no idea what you're even taking a picture of. So I was just struggling with that in a huge way. And then just also, just the basic controls. I'm mostly using the iPhone in a pretty simple way. I'm generally just using the main camera. So I'm not doing anything super fancy, just adjusting exposure and that sort of thing. But still, like, not being able to really, like, be able to change, all your settings easily and change modes or just, whatever it might be. That's a big part of why, these pro cameras are so great and so useful and so easy to use, because everything's just set up to have every single control, every dial, everything does something. I've got every button set up on my A1 II to do something. I can go to my ISO settings and whatever it might be. So just being able to work so quickly and again change angles and all of that stuff, that's another reason that the classic actual professional mirrorless camera is just on a different level, a different league. You can't even hardly compare them just because of those main usability issues, not to mention the the quality stuff. That's kind of a whole separate topic. But I'm definitely going to use it on that trip a lot. And like I said, I'm going to use it in so many different circumstances and use it with really quite a bit of confidence. And just, yeah, I think this is going to help just kind of round up my kit and give me that really great option that's super small and super light. So yeah, definitely highly recommend it. I think we're really there, at least as far as a secondary camera goes. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Really appreciate it. I hope you subscribe. Hoping to do a lot more videos like this in the future. Have a good day.